Week we asked some questions on the various things that you would want to see more on our YouTube channel, Nhyira Premium, and we had a lot of recommendation, a lot of suggestions, and a lot of queries from the students, and so I'm very much excited to announce that we're going to be releasing videos in line with the various subjects and various topics that students have requested for us to make content on, or make the content available on our YouTube channel. So in case you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, make sure that you head on to YouTube, Nhyira Premium, and subscribe to the channel, because every single day we are releasing new lecture videos on various topics, on various subjects, to assist you and help you in order to be in a better position for the ICAG May 2020 examination. As always, my objective is to make available these contents for students so that you can prepare for the examination. And as always that I tell you this all the time, you must understand that passing the examination is not dependent on the fact that you just attend the lectures. No, you have to sit down and work on yourself. And understanding something, understanding a topic is not just about attending lectures, because chances are topics will be treated probably once in every meeting, so just once. But you have to be able to go over the lessons again, and one way to be able to go over what you have studied is to be able to watch the lecture videos, watch the thing being taught again, and that will increase your chances of understanding the subject and position you to pass the examination. So go to my YouTube channel, Nhyira Premium, and subscribe to my channel for lecture videos to assist you. Hi there. Thank you very much for joining me once again for the Business Lecturer in Within Show every single day in the week. From Monday to Friday, 4 p.m. I come live on YouTube like this to help you, to provide you with various things that you must know in order for you to prepare for your ICAG examination. Remember, the objective of this platform or this live broadcast is to be able to answer the questions that you are having, and also enable me to teach the things that you are requesting me to teach on in relation to that. So if you just joined the broadcast, comment below with any questions that you are having, topics that you want me to cover, topics that you want me to share. On Monday, we started with the journey and we looked at the issue in relation to the overview of the syllabus. I discussed the issue about financial reporting, public sector. Yesterday, we spent some time on looking at the public sector and also looking at something about financial reporting yesterday. Now today we're going to be going through as well. We are still looking at the overview of the syllabus and the key issues that we need to understand in relation to that. So I'm going to start it off today by looking at management accounting. Going forward, I'm going to be looking at financial management as well. Then I'll be also answering any questions that you are having in relation to that. So if you just joined the broadcast, please comment below in the chat box anything that you want me to cover, the topics that you want me to cover, the subjects that you want to see me lecturing more during these live sessions. And also, most importantly, I would want you to share this video with others. You see, the objective of this platform is to be able to provide videos and assistance to a lot of students as much as possible. Now, you might not know, maybe you sharing this video will be the answer to someone's problem on something that the person has been thinking about. So do well to share the video with your friends on Facebook, on WhatsApp, and every other platform that you think you must tell people about it, and spread a message that every single day, Monday to Friday, 4 p.m., Nhyira Premium goes live on YouTube, and he teaches live on YouTube, so that together we can help a lot of people so they can prepare well for the examination. So in case you just joined the broadcast, we are about starting the day's broadcast, but comment below with any questions that you are having, anything that you want me to talk about. Maybe there is an accounting standard that you want me to talk about. So far we've gathered a couple of issues that students want us to cover. Something about public sector and financial management. We've had a request on these, just that the people have not stated the topics in these two subjects, but these two subjects are critical. Then also we've had something on an accounting standard called IFRS 16 that they want me to start taking it or teach it live here. And so we'll be getting into all of that as we continue during this live session. So today I want to start the broadcast with the overview of management accounting and sort of go through with you a couple of principles and concepts that you need to understand in order for you to prepare well for your examination. Now remember, in the new ICAG syllabus, the management accounting in level 2 has been reduced. Okay, under the old syllabus, it was really condensed, had a lot of things inside. But in the new syllabus, the syllabus has been really reduced. So the new level 2 syllabus covers a couple of issues there that we need to understand. Now, the first segment of the syllabus is the issue in relation to what is referred to as contemporary approach to management accounting. Contemporary approaches to management accounting. Now, at this segment of the syllabus, one of the things that stands out is that you are going to be looking at a lot of things here. Now, remember, this is the new ICAG syllabus for management accounting. So, a lot of things are going to be coming on here. So, what are some of the topics? I see your comments. I'll be reading them in a moment. Keep on sharing the video. If you joined the broadcast, comment below. I want to know the topics you want us to cover, where you are watching from. Just share the video with others. We want to have as much people as possible so we can together help each other, all right? So, contemporary approaches to management accounting. This place, there are a lot of things that the syllabus require that we discuss. Among other things, we are supposed to know the ethical issues. Okay, ethical issues. Now, for those of you who started on Monday with us, you realize that we spoke about ethics, and I told you that ethics actually cut across all the subjects. So if you are doing management accounting, ethical issues is going to be critical as well here. So if you remember, we looked at the fundamental principles, fundamental codes of ethics: integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, professional behavior, and then confidentiality. Then we also considered the threats to professional ethics. When you come to management accounting also, this is there. Ethical issues you must understand. Now, after we discuss ethical issues, then we get into some issues about management accounting proper. So you're going to be doing things such as the profit statement. I like to call it the profit and cost statement. The profit and cost statement. This is where you do the three methods of the preparation of the profit and cost statement, and that is to say activity-based costing. So this is the marginal costing, and then absorption costing. So these three things are critical. These three things are fundamental in the contemporary approaches to management accounting. So profit and cost statement. So if you are preparing the cost statement for a product or a service, or you are preparing the profit statement for a certain undertaking, what do you do and how do you prepare it? So we're going to be using activity-based costing, we're going to be using marginal costing, and we're going to also be using what? The absorption costing. So you've got to make sure that you understand the principles, you understand the concept in relation to that. Aside from profit and cost statements, there are other issues such as throughput accounting ratio. or if you want throughput accounting. This is also part of the thing that you need to understand in relation to that. So throughput accounting, this is in the syllabus. Aside throughput accounting, there is also environmental accounting. Then also, we also have what is called the balance scorecard. The balance scorecard, very, very important framework or module that is used to assess the performance of organizations. So the balance scorecard, we are supposed to know about it, and we'll be discussing that by Kaplan and Norton, where you look at the four perspectives from which the management's performance or an organization's entire performance can be managed. So the balance scorecard is there. Then we come to value chain analysis. Value chain analysis. This is where you're looking at how an organization buys inputs, takes the input into the production process, gets the output, and deliver the output to the final consumer. So that mechanism is what is referred to as what? The value chain analysis. And you're going to be looking at the primary or the core activities, and then the secondary or the supporting activities. And you're going to see how that assists organizations in various decision making for the company at large. Then there is also what is called TQM. That is total quality management. Total quality management. So this aspect of the syllabus actually has a lot of things in it that you must know of, okay? That you must know of. So ethical issues, preparation of the profit and cost statement using activity-based costing, marginal costing, absorption costing, throughput accounting ratio. It is similar to limiting factor analysis, and we'll be going into that. Environmental costing, how we can incorporate the environmental effect into our cost systems. And then the balance scorecard, how we assess the performance of an organization. Value chain analysis, the processes involved in acquiring our inputs, taking them into the production process, getting the output, and then virtually carrying out the output to the final consumer. Then the issue about total quality management, that is how to ensure that the products that is being produced meet the required quality of various organizations in relation to that. So these are some of the things. There are other minor things there that I've not listed though, but these are some of the things from what is called contemporary approaches to management accounting. Certainly there is also another thing called the cost reduction and cost control. Okay, the difference between cost reduction and cost control, and I'll be getting into that in a moment as we begin to discuss the whole thing in relation to that. So the first segment of your management accounting syllabus in level 2, these are the things that you need to understand. So let me see the comments that we have here. Okay. Chachu said, this is the 3rd day with Nhyira Premium and it is getting better. All right, Chachu, that's nice. Thank you for joining us throughout. Kwame Smith Aqua said, true. I'm actually enjoying it. Okay. Thank you. Gary White, can you get cash flow statement format indirect method in Excel? Are you asking me to create it for you, or you should be able to create that in an Excel pro forma? Chachu, I want you to treat IFRS 15. Okay, so that is also another standard we need to keep up. So let me write that down. IFRS 15. Now, for your information, Chachu, you can check my channel after you watch this live broadcast. You can check my channel. There is a playlist there called I think Accounting Standard Series. And in that playlist, I have treated IFRS 16 there already. Nonetheless, I'll still be teaching it here live, and we'll be solving some questions in it. So you can watch that video as you wait on for the live broadcast, and also for the question answering in relation to that. So that is it about that. Kwame Smith, check his previous video at, okay, so thank you, Kwame. That was the same thing I was mentioning in a moment. And then Kwame Smith said, you can download a template online. Okay. Ebenezer, oh, I'm late. No, Ebenezer, you're not late. I just started with the overview of the syllabus, and you are not late at all. Right, so Ebenezer, oh, I'm late. Like I said, you aren't late. So that is it about that. So when it comes to management accounting, the first aspect, contemporary issues or contemporary approaches, these are some of the things there. Now, in order for you to begin to talk about all of these things, you must understand what management accounting primarily is all about. You must understand what is cost, what is classification of cost, and all of those things. So what I want to do now is to take you through a couple of issues about management accounting. In case you just joined the broadcast, comment below with your questions, your topics. Remember to share the video with others so that we can together help as much people as possible. So let's go. Let me continue with what is here. After the contemporary issues, you know already the rest of the things. You're going to have budgeting and budgetary control. You're going to have standard costing and variance analysis. It's still there for you. For those of you who thought it's not going to be there. Investment appraisal. The good news about investment appraisal is that now it has been reduced. So you're only going to be looking at the 4 methods of appraising investments. That is the accounting rate of return, the net present value, internal rate of return, and I think time value of money. So did I say time value of money? The payback period. So these are only these 4 methods that you're going to be looking at in the new investment appraisal. So contemporary approaches to management, budgeting, standard costing variance analysis, investment appraisal. Then you come to short-term decisions. Note that the investment appraisal is categorized as long-term decisions, okay? So you come to short-term decisions, and this is where you're going to be undertaking issues such as the break-even analysis, the make or buy, limiting factor analysis, pricing decisions, relevant costing, all of those things, shutdown decisions, all of those guys are under the short-term decisions. Then from there, you do the final thing called the performance evaluation, where you talk about issues in relation to transfer pricing, all right, and all of those building blocks, assessing performance of organization, of a private sector, of a public sector, or for a not-for-profit making what? Organizations. So this is what you must understand, and the examiner, we expect the examiner to bring questions from all of these areas in your examination. But as always, you must make sure that you understand the principles, the concepts that before you go into the exam hall. So issues such as costing system. So the costing methods that you know of. Process costing, job costing, batch costing, contract costing, all of those guys are now in level 1, Introduction to Management Accounting. But in level 2, we are building it up and looking at various serious issues in relation to the syllabus. So these are the things that are contained in the syllabus. I took time to explain the first aspect because it has a lot of things in there that you have to make sure you understand. You have to make sure that you get in relation to that. So let me start with the issue about the overview of the management accounting. Now, like I mentioned earlier, when you want to understand management accounting, you need to go back and understand a couple of issues. For instance, you need to understand what is cost. So what is cost? Cost can simply be defined as expenditure incurred on an activity, a process, or an undertaking. Okay, the amount of expenditure incurred on an activity, a process, or an undertaking. Now, when it comes to cost, generally, cost can be classified in various ways, in various forms. So, for instance, if I say that it cost me $500 to put together videos for every week, what does that mean? That is the total cost. But the question is, how do we break those costs into each various items, into each various components? That is what leads to what is called the cost classification. So, in understanding the issue about management accounting, we're going to be starting off with the issue about cost classification. So, what is cost classification? Classification of cost refers to the grouping, all right, of costs into what? Various classes based on certain features. Now, there are various bases for the classification of cost, and that is where we are going to go in relation to that. So, classification of cost. So, like I mentioned, if I say that I incur a cost of $500 every week to put together videos for the week, how do I classify that cost into eight various things? That is what we mean by what? Classification of cost. Now, cost in general can be classified into various groups based on various features. So the first one, classification of cost by nature. So the first basis for classification of cost is by nature. Now, what do we mean when we say we are classifying cost by nature? Classification of cost by nature refers to the classification of cost according to the elements of cost. The classification of cost according to the elements of cost. So the question we then ask is, what are the elements of cost? So let's get into that. There are three elements of cost. That is material, labor, and then expenses. Material, labor, and expenses. So, material cost, labor cost, and expenses. So, what is material cost? Material cost refers to the cost of ingredients or inputs which undergo production process to get the outputs. The cost of ingredients or inputs which undergo the production process to produce the outputs. So for instance, if we are constructing a furniture like a chair, I cannot lift the chair for you, but like a chair, maybe the chair you are sitting on, if we want to, we are building that chair up, the total cost we incur what the chair I have here, the wood, all right, the nail, the seat, the cover, the foam, the sandpaper for the smoothing. All of these could be part of what is referred to as the material cost. All the inputs that goes under the production process to produce the output. Then we come to the second element, and that is labor cost. The labor cost refers to the cost of human efforts incurred in the production of goods and services. So back to my furniture, the materials we are using will come under the material cost. The person we pay to construct or build the furniture, that is the carpenter, his apprentice, that will be referred to as what? The labor cost. The labor cost. So my wood, my nail, my foam, my seat cover, my sandpaper, all of these will be material cost. The carpenter and his apprentice and any other person involved in putting the chair together will be the labor cost. Then we come to the third element of cost, and that is what? Expenses. So what are expenses? Expenses are all other costs incurred apart from material cost and labor cost. Expenses are all other costs incurred apart from material cost and labor cost. So example, if we go back to my furniture issue, the wood, the foam, the seat cover, every nail, everything goes into what is called what? The material cost. The glue, everything goes into the material cost. The carpenter, his apprentice, and anybody involved will go to labor cost. However, if we go to the market, maybe timber market or whatever, to buy the wood, to buy the materials, the vehicle we pick, that will be what? Expenses. Electricity that we'll be using by the carpenter for his equipment to do the work, that will also be what? Expenses. Are you getting it? Any experts we will engage to come and check the quality of the chair, that will also be part of what? Expenses. So all other costs incurred, apart from material and labor, in the production of a good or a service is referred to as what? Expenses. So that is what you have to understand when we talk about classification of cost by nature. Classification of cost by nature means classifying cost by or according to the elements of cost. And what are the elements of cost? Material cost, labor cost, and then what? Expenses. But we need to build these up. The elements of cost, that is material cost, labor cost, and expenses, can further be divided into two. We have what is called direct costs and then indirect costs. So let's look at them in relation to that. So still on classification of costs according to nature, and the next thing we want to look at is the differences between direct cost and indirect cost. So let me put a table down like this. So we're going to put direct cost on the left and then indirect cost on the right. So what are we saying here? When it comes to material cost, we can have direct material cost and then indirect material cost. When it comes to labor cost, we can have direct labor cost and then indirect labor cost. When it comes to expenses, we can talk about direct expenses and then indirect expenses. So all of these elements of cost can further be divided into what? Direct or indirect. But the big question we then have to ask ourselves is, what are the difference between, or what is the difference between direct material cost and indirect material cost? So to answer that question, we need to ask ourselves, what is a direct cost and what is an indirect cost? So let's take the definition. Direct costs are costs that can be traced or allocated to a particular cost center or cost unit. Direct costs are costs that can be traced or allocated to a particular cost center or cost unit. Alright, so what then is an indirect cost. An indirect cost is a cost that cannot be what? Traced or allocated to a particular cost center or cost unit. Now, let's make sense out of the definition. Direct costs can be traced or allocated to a cost center or cost unit. What it means is that the cost that is being incurred, you can relate it to a particular activity, a particular department, a particular undertaking. But with the indirect cost, you cannot actually relate it to a particular cost center or to a particular cost unit. So, what do we mean there? When it comes to material cost, like we've already defined, there is direct material cost and indirect material cost. So remember, with my furniture illustration, I listed a couple of things. The wood, the nails, the foam, the seat cover, the glue, the sandpaper for the smoothing, the, what else? Yeah, I think these are the materials we need. Now, which of these 6 materials that I've listed will you say we can see directly on the finished furniture, and which can't we see directly on the finished furniture? The one we can see directly on the finished furniture is what is referred to as what? The direct material cost. The one that we cannot see on the finished material is the indirect material cost. So let me take that again. We have wood, nails, glue, sandpaper for the smoothing, foam, the seat cover. These are the material costs. So which of these are direct and which is indirect? So you realize that when you pick any furniture, ultimately you see the wood. So the wood, the cost of the wood is a direct material cost. You see directly the foam. So the cost of the foam is a direct cost. You see the seat cover, the cost of that is a direct material cost, right? But the issue about the sandpaper for the smoothing, the glue for the attaching, those things you may not be able to what? Identify them or see them very well. So those could be related to as what? The indirect material cost. Then let's come to the labor cost. Remember labor, I told you about the carpenter and his apprentice. Now, the money we are paying to the carpenter for the furniture is a direct labor cost. Why? Because the carpenter's job can be traced directly to that furniture. But his apprentice may be running a lot of errands apart from this chair that he is working on for us. For that reason, the cost incurred on the apprentice will be referred to as what? An indirect labor cost. I hope you are getting the differences. This is very, very critical because that is what will enable you to classify costs when you are preparing the cost statement or preparing the profit statement. Very, very important. Then the third thing is expenses. Like we mentioned, expenses are all other costs incurred apart from material and labor. Okay, so when it comes to expenses also, we have direct expenses and then indirect expenses. So what are direct expenses? For instance, if after the carpenter finishes, we need to engage a furniture expert to come and check the quality of the furniture, then the money we pay to the furniture expert becomes what is called direct expenses. Are you following? The money we pay to the furniture expert becomes what? A direct expenses. Or once the carpenter finishes the job, we need a special machine to mold or trim the finishing part of the furniture to the design that we want. So the hire of that special machine, the cost of hiring that special machine will become what? A direct expenses. Then any other cost that we incur, apart from these two items, that are not material related, labor related, will be what? Indirect expenses. Okay? Like absorption of factory overheads, like electricity cost could also be there, like water, like deliveries. All of those things could be defined as what? indirect expenses. So that is the first thing you must understand about the differences between what? Direct cost and indirect cost. I hope you got the illustrations I made respectively for the three elements of cost. Now you realize that whilst I was defining these things, I made mention of cost center and cost units. If you remember, we said direct material costs are costs that can be traced or allocated to a particular cost center or a cost unit. Then indirect costs are costs that cannot be traced to a particular cost center or cost unit. So let me wind back a little bit so that I give you the definition of those terminologies. So what is a cost center? What is a cost unit? What is a unit cost? We also have revenue center. We have profit center. And also an investment center. These are some terminologies that you must know in management accounting. Now, in case you just joined the broadcast, we are looking at management accounting and we are looking at cost. Now, comment below with any questions that you are having, and please make sure you share the video on Facebook, on WhatsApp, in your groups. Tell people about this every single day, Monday to Friday. I go live on YouTube like this to teach you live in relation to that. So let's bounce back. Cost center. What is a cost center? A cost center can be defined as a location, a department, an item of equipment, or a group of people to which cost may be ascertained. Let me take that again. A cost center can be defined as a location, a department, an item of equipment, or a group of people to which cost may be ascertained. So the production department is a cost center. The human resource department is a cost center. If we are a publishing firm, our publishing plant is a cost center. That is a cost center. Then we come to cost units. What is cost unit? Cost unit can be defined as the quantitative unit of a product to which cost may be ascertained. The quantitative unit of a product to which cost may be ascertained. What does that mean? So an example of a cost unit will be a bar of soap. A bar of soap. Now, so what is the relationship between a cost unit and a cost center? The machine we use to produce the soap is a cost center. The department that produces the soap is a cost center. But when we take a bar of soap, that is what? A cost unit. I hope you get the idea. So the cost unit is the quantitative unit of a product to which cost may be ascertained. Then we come to unit cost. Now make sure you don't change the definitions. Cost unit, unit cost, like the names, okay? Like you are just alternating or transposing the words, but they mean something. So what is unit cost? The unit cost refers to the cost incurred in the production of a single unit of output. The cost incurred in the production of a single unit of output. That is the unit cost. That is the unit cost. Then we come to revenue center. Listen to the name, revenue center. Now, the revenue center is simply a cost center or a center which is also responsible for the receiving of what? Revenue. Okay? It means that this center incurs cost, but at the same time, they charges for the services they render, so they make what? Some revenues. Then we come to the profit center. So note that not all revenue centers are profit centers. With profit centers, they incur costs, so they are a cost center, and at the same time, they make revenue, so they are a revenue center. So that makes them a profit center. So the branch of a bank is a profit center because they incur a cost, and at the same time, they charge for the services that they undertake for their customers. Then investment center. An investment center is simply a cost center or a revenue center or a profit center with an ability to undertake investment decisions. So if the department can buy its own equipment, can buy its own car, can buy its own things without necessarily needing approval from the board or from the organization, or they are given a certain limit within which they can do capital expenditure, then they become what? An investment center. So these are some terminologies that you have to understand in relation to what? Management accounting. That came up because I was discussing the issue about direct costs and then indirect costs. So let's come back to this and let's look at the differences between direct costs and indirect costs. So number one, the definition. Direct costs can be traced or allocated to a particular cost center or cost unit. But for indirect costs, they cannot be traced or allocated to a particular cost center or cost unit. Then another definition is, another difference between direct costs and indirect costs is that the summation of all direct costs gives prime cost. The summation of all direct costs gives prime cost. So what does that mean? When we add direct material, direct labor, direct expenses, that gives us the prime cost. However, the summation